Well, first of all, start off with Kiel Pollard's situation. Just really disappointed for Kiel and his family, and for everybody involved, and our organization as well. I mean, a guy that we signed out of Moultrie, Georgia, Colquitt County High School state champion, player of the year in a lot of situations as far as the state of Georgia was concerned. And just a wonderful young man, has done everything we've asked of him. Had a really good freshman and sophomore years, and kind of broke out of the latter part of his junior season, and was in the best condition he's been since he's been here. Primed to have a great senior year and continue to play after college, in my opinion. And very, very unfortunate situation. It was a small fracture in his neck, which really was going to heal within 4 to 6 weeks. Had nothing to do with him not being able to play football. During our research and helping him get back, we discovered through 2 specialists and neurologists in Atlanta and in Charlotte that he had a cyst on his spinal cord, and that's really the issue that we found. Thank goodness we found it. But Kiel's going to graduate in December. He wants to get into coaching. He's not sure if he wants to be a high school coach or a college coach, but he'll be successful in whatever he does. He's extremely bright. He relates well with anybody he meets. He's got that certain skill with people, and he's going to be a part of our staff this fall, and moving forward and supporting him, and obviously him graduating into December. And it was a message for our guys. I mean, this guy's handled his business the right way. He's graduated. Getting your education is why you're here. And I think our guys understood that part. And, unfortunately, in our game, we all have expiration dates, and generally probably 1% of us all that play football, it ends on your terms. I got a great example in our own building. Mike Peterson played 14 years in the National Football League, and when I was at Florida, came to me and said they want me to play a 15th year and I don't want to play anymore. And that doesn't happen very often. So that's unfortunate, and it certainly ended too soon for Kiel, but we think we'll love him, and I just hate this happened to him, and he's going to have some tough times in the fall, and we all need to support him, and we will. Got some good news on Evan Henson. He's only going to be out 3 or 4 weeks. The surgery was much better than we thought. So excited about that. Kier Thomas will be cleared sometime next week. He's been doing a lot of individual work, but he just hadn't done anything 11 on 11. So, and other than that, we're doing well. So, but scrimmage today a little sloppy on both sides of the ball. Just some procedure issues, some communication issues that were disappointing for our second scrimmage. We got about 120 scrimmage snaps. We got some live kicking game done, which was always good. But just got to clean a lot of things up as we continue to move forward. I thought there were some bright spots on both ends. We got a lot of situational work, a 4-minute drill to win the game. The offense was able to stay on the field to end the clock. Coming out situation, offense was able to get a first down coming off the goal line, which is critical to be able to flip the field to get a first down in those situations. A good 1-minute situation to end with a field goal to win the game. The defense did a really nice job in our red zone work, and it was kind of back and forth during the move the ball. But looking forward to seeing the tape and seeing where we are, but just a little too sloppy as far as just some procedure issues, some things that we need to clean up. We claim that, we want to do the things that take no talent very well. We didn't today, and that was disappointing, and we'll address that as we move forward. Our guys are off tomorrow unless they have treatment, and then we'll have 2 training camp-like practices on Monday and Tuesday. We'll be off on Wednesday, and we'll start on North Carolina on Thursday. So I'll open up for any questions.
Raise your hand, get a microphone to you, David.
Will, how are Dowdle and Edwards? Were they able to go today?
Yeah, no, they didn't today, but they'll be cleared for Monday. Rico had a little bit of a bone bruise. He's fine. We held him today, and Brian could have gone today, and he'll be back. He'll be fine. He'll be back Monday.
What was Edwards?
Just shoulder.
Have you felt like offense or defense has done more, done better so far in camp?
I think it's been pretty even as far as it just, there's been some good competition is the best way I'd say it. There was a couple explosive plays. Shy Smith had a really good day today, but, we got a defender there, and we got to make that play. And defensively, offensively, I'm happy that Shy made a 50-50 ball, made a great play. So, when you're able to not just bust and let a guy run free on the defense, I guess is what I'm trying to say. We had some really good competition. We had some point of attack plays where the running backs running through contact, or we're making a really nice tackle defensively. So there's a lot of things that from a schematic standpoint I thought were clean. It was some of the procedural issues we've got to get cleaned up, but I think it's been pretty even.
How were the quarterbacks today? I guess Jake, Ryan, and DeCarrion.
All 3 guys, I thought, Jake, we had some explosive plays offensively, and I'm looking forward to watching the film and evaluating DeCarrion and Ryan.
John.
Coach Wolford was pleased with the way his group blocked in the run game last scrimmage. Did you see the same thing in this scrimmage from them?
But I thought we had some creases, in the run game. We did, John, we did so much situational work, so it wasn't as much just move the ball. So it's kind of hard in some situations that to look. But again, I think we've done a nice job in the run game, throughout training camp and blocking a pretty good front.
And how did Tavian look today? What did you see?
Good. It looked good. Caught the ball well, ran the ball well, had a really nice cut on a touchdown on an inside zone. So it was good. I thought he looked good.
Back to what you said about Shy, you had some receivers in previous years that could cover up a lot of ills. Have you identified players like that as far as covering up those type of things that are 50-50 balls like you saw today?
Well, two guys that stood out to me today was Josh Van and Shy. I mean, those guys have had really good camps. Shy has had an exceptional camp, and he's a very difficult guy to cover. He's got really good catch radius down the field. He's got really good speed, and he's got good open field quickness as far as evading people and making people miss. So I think he's had a really good training camp. Josh Van has had a good camp, to this point. But it all goes back to me to the summer, the type summer both those guys had. They really busted it all summer. They went after it hard all summer, and they've come into camp and had really good camps, and that's been good. Rodriguez has done some nice things. So those three guys have jumped out at us, and of course I think Brian's had a really good camp as well.
How has DJ Wanham looked in terms of physically coming back?
He looks as good as he's looked. I mean, he looks really good. He's playing well. I think he's rushing the passer extremely well, but playing the runs well, leveraging well. He's right at 260. I'm really pleased with how he's playing.
How does he change what you're able to do defensively, or at least how your defense
Well, he's got to
looks?
account for him offensively. When you go in the game, you got to figure out, it's all about matchups, and, we got to make sure we're getting the protection to number 8. We got to make sure we got somebody that's helping there. His football intelligence is off the charts as far as just knowledge of the game, knowledge of situations. He's not a guy that you've got to sit there and walk through everything. He gets it and he understands it. But, he also is a great leader. He doesn't say a lot, but he demonstrates and his leadership ability in positively affecting people around him is as good as I've been around. So having him on the field, there's a lot of different positives he brings to our organization past just the fact he's a good football player.
When you recruit the younger brother of somebody who's on your team, does that go any differently than any other guy you recruit? Do you feel like you're starting with a little bit of an
Well,
advantage?
you can't assume anything, and that's what sometimes happens when you recruit a brother and you feel like that you've got the in or whatever, and you really don't. You've got to separate that and then recruit Dylan. I recruited Dylan like Dennis wasn't even here, and hardly ever wanted to bring Dennis up because a lot of little brothers don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear about their brother anymore. They're sick and tired of that, and they don't. They're very close, so I'm not saying that, but I think you just got to recruit them separately and treat them that way.
Will, I believe you mentioned in Hoover that around this time, the 15th practice would be a time where you want to start identifying a definite number 2 QB. Any further on that process?
Well,
or
we
just-
watched the tape today. It was a huge evaluation. Obviously, the 2 scrimmages are big in that evaluation process, but not just at that position, a lot of positions. And, we've got some freshmen. This is the hard part is when you get to after this practice is saying, okay, week 1, it may not be the best option, but in week 5, guys, it's going to be the best option, and that's going to help our football team. So you got to continue to bring those guys along, knowing that eventually that's going to overtake and as far as his ability and talent is. So that's where you've got to be, you got to project a little bit, and that's what we've got to do a good job of tonight and tomorrow morning.
And also, is Darius Rush full-time defense now?
Right now, yeah, he was not contributing much at the receiver position, and we felt like we wanted to give him an opportunity. Darius is a really good athlete. Give him an opportunity, maybe a new position, new shot of life, and see what happens.
Back room, Phil.
Any update on Muse eligibility?
Not at this time. We're in that process of, we're putting a waiver into the NCAA, and we'll that's on their time, not ours.
Wolf talked a little bit about Eric Douglas and the
Yeah.
summer he had. Just what did you see out of him this summer compared to in years past, and how does that, I guess, translate in now that he's
Well, I wouldn't say 2 years past. He's always been a model citizen in everything he's done. He's done everything we've asked, but just went the extra step, in my opinion, in the weight room, in the film room, and really working and crafting his skill set of what he can do. But can play all 5 positions. He or Donnell would be our backup center right now to Hank. He can back up at guard. He can play both tackle positions. But he's a very valuable member of our football team.
I don't know if you guys need to get through the film of today before you. But are there any freshmen that you can say definitively right now that you guys expect to have ready to play?
I'd rather watch the film. I don't want to get out and a guy that's had a good 14 so days and then today didn't do as well. So I'd rather watch the film and continue to look through that.
in other than DJ, any other those pass rushers who've really been consistent
JJ's done
throughout?
some nice things rushing the passer. I think he's a guy that obviously has given us a pretty decent edge presence throughout spring and now into training camp. He's done a nice job. Aaron Sterling's a guy that's very flexible for us, can play inside, can play out. Javon's been a powerful, disruptive guy inside that's been difficult to deal with. So we'll continue to look. We need more edge guys. Brad's been slowed by a groin. He's been in and out of practice. He's been able to do some things at times, but we've had to put him a little bit on a pitch count as far as his contribution is concerned, and he hasn't been able to scrimmage yet. So he's a guy that's been able to give us a little bit more juice on the edge. And Danny Fennell's had a fantastic camp. He's come off the ACL, has not missed a rep. We haven't had to slow him down at all, and he feels great. So that's another guy that gives us a little bit more edge, juice on the edge. Yep.
I know you always focus on the situational stuff, but how vital was that red zone work given the inconsistencies last year on both sides of the football?
Well, we've spent a lot of time in the red zone regardless of how we've done, and that's something that's of our plan to win. One of our core five is playing well in the red zone and understanding we've got to get points 100% of the time, 70% of the time we want to score touchdowns. Defensively, 60% of the time you want to hold them to field goals. If you do that, you're leading the country in those categories. And I think we've made some improvements, but obviously we'll have a test on August 31st.
Will, you mentioned red zone execution just there. How was that today? And also you've mentioned ball security. How did that look today as well?
Well, it's good and bad. The defense had a really good red zone period, so it's not so good for the offense. And then, I don't know that we had a turnover for the entire scrimmage, and I think we only had one that was in a fourth down desperation situation last week, where you got to put the ball up and just see if somebody can make a play. So we've protected the ball better since the early part of training camp.
Will, how are Stanley and Roderick? Were they out there today?
Yeah, they were out there today, and they'll be fully back cleared Monday. RJ may be non-contact, but they were out there today.
Talked earlier in camp about the young defensive backs, just how energetic they are. And you said check back with you about practice 15, 16 to see if that energy's still there. Is it? And I guess what have you seen? How they?
It is. I mean, it's just we put a lot on them. We teach everything by concepts, and sometimes they have some good moments and not so good moments. Jamie's done some really nice things at both safety and nickel, and he's going to be a really good player for us this year. All of them are. John Dixon has been a guy that's really shown up. Had a couple nice knockdowns in the red zone today on 2 50-50 balls that I thought were played extremely well. Cam Smith showed up today again, made a couple plays on some balls, and to be able to see them being in the right spots is what I'm looking for. And Shiloh's done some nice things. So I've been very pleased with all those guys. Shiloh's repped at the nickel position, and we've looked at him a little bit at safety as well. So, but I've been pleased with their progress, and they're all going to play for us this year.
Any more clarity on the starting safeties and nickel positions, and also with JT, what have you seen out of him this camp that's going to enable him to?
Well, JT's had a really good camp. He's strained his pec, and so I'm thinking we're going to get him back next week at some point. He's the only guy that's had a lingering issue. That's a similar situation that happened to him at Rice, and it was about a 2-week deal before he was able to come back. So we'll see how that progresses. But, right now Jam has had a really good camp, has done a really nice job for us there. Jamie's done some nice things for us there. Israel's always a guy that can slide in and play, and has played a lot of safety for us in the last couple of days and done a nice job. He brings us a lot of range back there.
I know you've said in the past that TJ is more of a lead by example guy than a vocal guy. How does Ernest kind of make up for that as a voice in your linebacker
you
core?
hear his voice a lot. So he does a really nice job. He brings a lot of juice and energy every single day, and that's at that position you got, especially at this time of camp. That's something you got to have on your football team, and he's certainly a guy that's got a lot of juice and energy, and it affects everybody around him in a positive way, in my estimation. That makes him the player what he is. He's very smart. He's very intelligent. He makes all of our calls. So I've been real pleased with the training camp he's had, because he's been outstanding.
You mentioned Tavian out of the backfield earlier. What kind of element does he bring to the table from that standpoint?
Well, he catches the ball extremely well. I mean, he's like a receiver running routes as far as those things, and he's got really good ball skills. But again, I thought he made a couple really nice cuts on some runs today in the first live contact he's had since he's been here. So I thought he ran the ball well. Yep.
What kind of day did Jake have for you, and did you see him perhaps, kind of take that step
Right.
you want to see at this stage of camp?
Well, it's taking care of the football, and that's the big thing. But again, I thought there was some explosive plays out there. Hit shy on 2 balls, a seam ball, and then an outside ball. He dropped one in on Josh Van that was a really well thrown ball. But we got to continue to clean some things up in protection. There was, obviously our quarterbacks aren't live, so it would have been interesting if we'd gotten a couple of those off. So we got to go back and make sure we clean some of those things up. We were better than we were from the first scrimmage, but interesting to watch the film. But I thought, he really had a good week, in my opinion. You go back and look at Wednesday and Thursday's practice, and then we didn't do as much on Friday. But then again today, he strung together 4 or 5 really good days.
With those 4 freshman defensive backs, are those guys kind of interchangeable among the 3 spots in the secondary? Do you feel you could put any one of them in?
Cam and John are strictly playing corner, and Jamie's playing safety and nickel, and Shiloh right now is playing safety and nickel after playing corner early in camp. So, again, that's kind of what they're doing. Yep.
One more freshman DB question. Do you anticipate all 4 of those guys being able to play this year?
I think they're going to contribute to our team. How much on defense will depend on how they continue to progress, but certainly on special teams. All right, thank you.